All right, looking good, guys. So hi, everybody, and welcome to the next session of the Skill Up America Summit, hosted by the team here at Metrics Learning and Workforce 180. My name is Barry McWordy, and I'm our Director of Strategic Partnerships. I want you all to know that I'm really glad that you're here with us for another timely and relevant workshop, especially given the big workforce news that was released this morning. Today's session is going to explore how mobile technology fills big communication gaps in times of funding and staffing uncertainty. As many of us know, workforce organizations are being asked to do more with less, while still keeping job seekers engaged, informed, and connected to services as well. Traditional outreach methods don't always cut it at the end of the day, so that's where mobile technology can step in to fill in the gaps. Joining us today are our trusted colleagues Dave Asham and Max Shelkoff with Engage by Cell. We'll be sharing best practices, real-world examples, and innovative ways workforce organizations are using tools like two-way texting and mobile web apps to improve communication, reduce administrative burden, and of course to drive better outcomes, which is what we're all after at the end of the day. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to Dave and Max to get us started. Don't be afraid to field any questions that you may have in the chat. We'll kind of be addressing them as we go. So Dave, Max, take it away.
Thank you. It's great to be here. We love what Barry and Mike and everybody at Workforce 180 does, and we're very appreciative of being included in this illustrious group. I've been in the engagement business about 15 years, and Max, you've been in it for 4 or 5, I guess. And so much of our focus these days of our company is trying to help workforce organizations better engage with their audience. And through millions of trials and errors, Max, I think we've got a few things that are going to be really helpful.
We've seen a little bit of everything at this point, Dave.
We have. We know what works and what doesn't work, and we're all.
I hope so.
we've got these things lined out on the slides. And like Barry said, we love to be interrupted with questions, so just ask away. I'll start and then turn it over to Max. I started this company about 19 years ago. It was all about using a flip phone at that time to engage with an audience. We moved into training and HR solutions, and then about 10 years ago, moved into the workforce space. And Max and I and our team, we attend probably 10 conferences a year, if not more, and speak all over the country on the topics of everything that has to do with technology that's accessible on a phone. That is what we're into. You can see a few of the different kinds of clients on the right-hand side. And at the bottom, you can see 7.5 million text messages last year came through. So we have plenty of experiences to help guide you should you want to go down the mobile route. So Max, I don't think we would be as excited about mobile if we were still in the then column, but it seems like in the last 5 years, starting right before COVID, the way people use their phones has just gone crazy and so different, especially from a professional business use. So why don't you start at the top and kind of explain the underpinnings of why we are where we are today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even going back before COVID, you know, it was, yeah, I've been in my professional career, let's say, 10, 12-ish years now. And even then I was coached, texting is extremely unprofessional. You should never, ever do that. That's something we don't do here, that kind of thing. And now, I mean, it's rude. Yeah. And now, I mean, I'll pick on Mike Fazio. I can call that guy 100 times and he'll never answer. But if I shoot him a text, it's instant. So I think it's going back to that kind of, everybody has caller ID now, right? And we vet out phone calls. Nobody answers it if they don't recognize the phone number. And that's kind of transition to this texting is it's instantaneous and people consume it, right? They aren't afraid to shoot the text message back, especially with younger demographics. And I don't know about you, Dave, but how many emails do we each get a day, right?
So I get hundreds and
from maybe. Yeah, Old Navy, H&M trying to get me to buy my next dress shirt, and we just put them to the wayside. The emails kind of get answered when I have time or even if I get to them, right? So the open rate on emails just isn't as effective as it once was, and I think COVID really broke ground for QR codes. Kind of moving on, you know, the QR code was seen as something almost distrustful, right? And then during COVID, we all sat at that restaurant or wherever we were, and the menu was the QR code, and everything was QR code, and it really kind of, as a collective whole in the society, helped us get over that fear. I think just due to exposure and necessity. So I think QR codes have really transitioned into a mainstay for accessing different tools, whether it be the resource portal, or it's triggering the text message, or it's taking them to the website where they can upload documents and do all the things they need to do. And it's convenient, right? You don't have to worry about opening up the browser and where am I going? Oh, did I misspell the URL? It just shortens and simplifies processes.
Or
So,
even downloading something, because there's just a
yeah,
bigger version.
100%.
I don't know about your clients, Max, but I hear all the time people just do not want to download an app.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if any of you have ever gone down the native app, which is just the IT terminology for a hard downloaded app, you know, I always bring up an example. I was visiting some customers and some clients in New York City, and I had my rental car and it was pouring down rain. I had to download 2 different apps to park my rental car, and I was furious. You know, I'm standing in the rain, just upset about the whole situation. So download rates have traditionally you know, been falling with hard downloaded apps, and that's why we transitioned to the highly accessible, easily accessible mobile web app platform. So it's all about putting those resources in the people's hands that need them most as simply as possible, right?
Yeah.
And we all know the struggles with desktop computers, right? I mean, if I'm searching for a job, or I haven't had to apply for a job in 10, 20 years, and I've been in the labor force, and I don't have access to a desktop or a laptop, what am I supposed to do? You know, it's extremely frustrating for those people. And if transportation's an issue and I got to go to the resource center, and hopefully, you know, there isn't a line to use that computer, so on and so forth. But nowadays, everybody has one of these, you know. I mean, there's government assistant programs. There's 1,000,001 ways to get access to a smartphone nowadays, and everybody has one, or at least a household will have one, right? And the barrier to entry to get access to a smartphone is much lower than a laptop or a desktop computer. So it's really important to start incorporating mobile devices and smartphones into your processes, into your programs, and into your procedures, because it's the most accessible tool we have, right? So if you're not using it, it's really scary. And let's see, Dave, how often do you reach out to me outside of 8 to 5?
You know, it's so funny. It used to be just like you said about texting, Max. People, right or wrong, have changed their view of when the workday ends, or when, even for job seekers, when they will participate in trying to do their work to find a job. It's just commonplace now, where it's 7 days a week. I'm looking at my phone. It's not an 8 to 5 and then I'm shutting that off.
And you exactly nailed it. You know, it's not so much whether it's right or wrong. I think it's what we're doing. You know, we're on our phones all the time. They're an extension of us at this point, right? Whether it's social media or just browsing the internet, or all of our banking's done on them. I mean, everything we do is incorporated into these mobile devices. So it's time to start adapting them, because that job search doesn't stop at 5 p.m., right? And it doesn't start at 8. It's whenever I can do it, and it's all the time when I'm on my phone. So it's a matter of incorporating that access into a 24/7 window. I mean, it's imperative. right?
Yeah.
But I think just going along with that lines of accessibility, the mobile phones and the mobile devices, the smartphones, they're so accessible that, 24/7 is the access,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dive into, we kind of touched on some of these, but I think it's important to understand the inward processes too. We've kind of discussed what the outward, the end user consumer, but there's a lot behind the scenes in the actual career centers, the job centers, with the staff, whomever it might be, of the implications, right? Dave, you want to touch on any of
Yeah,
them, or I can keep going?
when we email to reach our audience, and our open rates are now below 20%. A few years ago, they were around 25%. Maybe put in the chat window, you folks, if you happen to know your open rates, it'll be interesting to see, are they 30%, 20%? Probably some of you don't really know what the open rates are, because unless you go through Constant Contact or MailChimp, you might not know. But when you think that you're sending out an email to 200 people, 2,000 people about, let's say, a job fair, and 20% are opening it and 80% are not opening it, you're doing this tremendous work. You've got all these partners showing up, and because just the behavior of the individual, they're not checking email, or it's going into spam. It's just this huge missed opportunity. So that's why Max was so bullish on using texting for those people that want to get a text as a way to solve this bullet number one.
Yeah, and kind of the data behind texting as well is, we have done a lot of studies. Obviously, it's what we do, and we're measuring effectiveness, right? And we consistently see that text messaging has a 95% open rate.
Right.
And people hear that number and they're like, Max is crazy, right? But I encourage every single one of you to take out your phone right now, look at how many unread text messages you have. Maybe one, maybe two, and then look at how many unread emails you have. Hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands, right? So that's a good eye opener when I encourage everybody to look at that. And it's all about how we're going to save time, save money, make it as efficient as possible, incorporate these into your processes. And your staff is spinning their wheels constantly, those case managers, and Barry did a great job at the beginning of talking about how we're always trying to do more with less, right? So automating some of this, right? All of us have those metrics of, I need to reach out to every single person in my caseload at least once a week or once a month or whatever it might be. And in our system, and with, texting systems in general, setting up that automated follow-up every single Friday, every single person in your caseload gets that text message, and it's personalized, and it says, hey, Max, I hope you're doing well and had a great week. How's that job search going? If you ever need help, you can reach out back to me. And just ensuring and guaranteeing every single one of those people is at least getting that little touch point, right? And so it just saves you an immense amount of time. It guarantees that they're getting touched. It's personalized. They're going to 95% chance that they're going to open and consume that message. And it gives them an easy avenue to text you back, right? Say, hey, Dave, yeah, I did need help with that resume. Hey, I did apply for that job. Or, hey, Dave, I did get that job.
Yeah.
It kind of goes full circle with that.
Yeah. The data too, Max, so many of our clients get funding based on results. And it's
100%.
not easy when somebody gets a job to find out that they actually did get the job. But if you send them a text that would say, by the way, are you still interested, or did you find a job, or how it's going? 90% will reply to that. So you'll get that data that you need specifically for funding opportunities.
Yeah. And there's a reason why over 80 workforce boards work with us, and multiple statewide initiatives as well. It isn't a new technology, right? We're not talking about revolutionizing the world here. It's something that we all know government is a couple of steps behind on, but it's something that has a massive amount of momentum right now because it works, right? And it's saving time and it's saving money, and people are less frustrated. You know, if I have to communicate via email when I'm trying to figure out how to write a resume, if I'm 21 years old, I hate that. You know, it's driving me nuts. But if I can text Dave and say, hey, what should I do for this cover letter? And Dave texts me back, I'm a happy camper.
Right.
And I will
Right.
be.
Yeah.
All right. Dave, you want to touch on this a little bit and then we'll keep moving?
It seems like everybody that Max and I talk to has a different opinion as to what might be happening down the road in Washington. It does seem as though, from talking with Workforce 180 and many others, that no one seems to think that there's going to be big cuts, but the uncertainty is just driving people crazy. So I think we've seen an uptick in people interested in mobile tech just in case funding and staffing happen to be limited. Mobile can be such a smoother way, like Max has been talking about, to engage with your audience. So it's something certainly that you should have in your back pocket.
And just the unpredictable nature of everything we're doing is a society, right? I mean, I always say, if you have a tool bag and there's a hammer and a screwdriver in it, why wouldn't you want the drill in there? And why wouldn't you want the tape measure in there? You know, the more tools you have to fix the problem, the easier the problem's going to be to fix, right? And if we're not solving the problems, we are the problem. And that's something that I preach and preach and preach. But let's run through these a little bit real quick. So you've heard us talk about texting. You've heard us talk about the mobile web apps and really what are they, right? So texting, there's a lot of different texting tools out there. And what Engage by Sell specifically is try to do is cater something workforce specific, right? And it's about peeling back those additional layers of engagement capabilities, right? We're not just wanting to blanket market. That is a super great tool. And of course, a couple clicks of a button, 1,000 text messages can go out saying, hey, job fair next Friday, click here to sign up. But the more important part is then what, right? Including those call to actions, those next steps of that two-way communication, right? So if I send out that blanket text to 1,000 people and Dave is one of those recipients and Dave responds to that, right? Then Dave can be kicked into a little portal where I, as the case manager, the individual kind of responsible for having those one-on-one conversations, I can converse with Dave indefinitely and have those long format conversations and actually get to the root of the communication and figure out what I can do to help Dave. And embedding those little clickable links, those links oftentimes go to the mobile web apps, which look and feel and act as close to a native hard downloaded app experience as possible, right? So you're going to have the ability to link out your job boards, your events you're hosting, your job fairs. They can upload documents inside of these. So if I'm trying to help Dave with his resume and I shoot Dave a text and it says, hey, Dave, I'd love to help you with your resume. Click this link and upload it for me, buddy. And Dave can take out his phone, snap a photo of his resume, and I have it, right? So it streamlines that information exchange and provides a really, really accessible tool for all of those amazing resources that workforce development provides, right? We all know the cliche saying workforce development is the best kept secret. Well, let's try our best to make it known, right? And there's 1,000 different resources available to folks, and pooling them all together into the mobile web app to become that centralized hub is extremely effective, right? And Dave, how about uploading docs and forms? I touched on it a little bit, but
yeah, I think Max hit the highlights with the texting and the mobile portal. Many of our clients also say to us that they've got 10s and 20s of forms that they need filled out. Emailing these to their individuals has been difficult because sometimes they don't even check the email or it's going in as spam. So many of our clients now will load on the mobile web app a list of all the forms and documents that might be applicable. And people can also, just like Max said, take a picture of a proof that I got my job, or take a picture of my resume, and that can all be uploaded. Once again, it's all cloud-based, so don't make someone go to a computer to do this. Let them do it from their phone.
Yeah, and I'll let you talk about the auto dialer. That's your baby.
We found even though we are preaching using texting, we have found that there are maybe 5 or 10% of folks that love the idea of getting a phone call. And I know some folks say, oh, robocalling is a terrible thing, and 90% of robocalls are a terrible thing. But we've got this platform that allows you folks to send a phone call with a pre-recorded message that's either your voice or maybe it's the voice of an AI chatbot, however you want to do it, that can go to those folks that just prefer getting a phone call. And when the phone call comes in at 2:30 in the afternoon, reminding them that there's job fair tomorrow and it's coming from Sherry, who's the caseworker, it's like, oh, that wasn't annoying at all. That was fantastic. So it's just a little added service that we've added on in the last few months.
And I think it's one of those things, like I just mentioned again, if you can have the option to have another tool in the tool bag to fix the problem, why not, right? And we're trying to cater to really large audiences in workforce development. There isn't a one size fits all shoe we can put on. So you've got to have as many different tools and resources available to people. And I think especially the auto dialing, you know, in rural areas or older demographics, there is that kind of outlier population where texting isn't, you know, the end all to be all. So having the option to send them a phone call saying, hey, Dave, you know, just a reminder that tomorrow's the big job fair and we would love to see you there. Right? And you can personalize those. It's not your traditional robot, you know, welcome to the job fair. It's you. Right? It's not something else.
Yeah.
If anybody on the call wants to try it out real quick, this is just a quick little demonstration of the texting and the mobile web app. So if you text the word demo space WFD to 56512 or scan that QR code, which will populate that text into your texting application. So all you have to do is hit send. You will receive a text message back, and in that text message that you will receive has a clickable link, and it will take you to one of the examples that we have worked pretty diligently with the Metrics Learning and Workforce 180 teams on down in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And it will give you a little quick glance at what a mobile web app and some of the texting experience looks like. And I think it's important in this little demonstration here to understand that the texting isn't just about the outbound, right? But it's also about mass communications inbound as well. So creating these call to actions to get people to text into and automatically provide them a text message back with the resources while you're capturing those folks' phone numbers. So now you can start engaging with them, right? And we've all seen these call to actions, whether it was on the billboard saying, looking for a new career, text jobs to XYZ phone number, or on the side of the truck, or walking into the office building, and there's those call to action. So it gives you a tool to put out into the communities and put in your audiences to get them engaged and get them participating in the programs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So as we wrap up here, I want to leave a couple of minutes for some questions if there are any, but these are just some of the examples. Oftentimes we get asked, you know, how do we launch this? What do we do? Things like that. So here's some examples, real world examples from some of our clients across the country, providing some of that marketing collateral, putting that QR code everywhere. We have customers who put it in their email signatures, put it on every email that goes out, on all your flyers, put it on these big banners that are in the actual job centers, breaking it down by different little tools and resources like you see in the middle there. Those are QR codes that'll take people to different job boards that are career specific. Putting it on business cards like Melanie did there and on your website, just is marketing 101, right? The more you expose something to a population, the better results you're going to get. So we have a full onboarding team that's trained very thoroughly in all the use cases that would share all the things that work, what doesn't work, share ideas with you, brainstorm. That's how you come up with these, right? Is sharing and seeing what works. All right. A little bit about analytics and data. As Dave mentioned earlier, a lot of us maintain our funding by results, right? And texting really helps you paint the picture of how you got those results too. And I think that's imperative and will be more and more important as funding gets more and more potentially challenging is, you know, okay, you turned this number in, how'd you do it, right? What happened? And having the ability to have all of those conversations recorded and all of those data points that are built inside the mobile web app in our full reporting dashboard helps you paint that picture of, you know, Dave, you know, saw the QR code, he scanned in and then he filled the form out and then he came in and met with Max and then Dave and Max communicated via text message for 3 weeks and then Dave got the job and he was so happy and here's the whole picture of how it all happened. And that's something that a lot of tools that we have right now that are deployed, obviously not engaged by Sell Tools, but the tools we do have don't help us paint that picture. And that's where we come in, right? Anything I'm missing about data, Dave?
No, I think because we capture every single click, every text, every response, we're able to deliver those kinds of results. So it helps with structuring your programs as well as getting funding.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we did good on time.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions, please feel free to share them right now. Barry, if there's anything Dave and I need to cover, but also please, anybody on that attended today, feel free to shoot Dave and I an email. If it's just questions or use case, or you want to learn more or what we've seen, what we know, we're happy. As you can probably tell, I can talk for 48 hours straight. So,
but it's also exciting to see the results when folks use mobile, whether it's from us or texting from anybody, you will see results within a week or two. This is not a long implementation program.
Happens quick.
Yeah, you're not asking people to download, you know, a WhatsApp app or something. It's just, it's using the same tools that they're using every day.
Yep.
All right, guys, I think we're good to go. So with that in mind, thank you, Dave and Max, for sharing those powerful insights. We'd also like to thank everyone who joined us for this engaging conversation about addressing our national workforce needs with a combination of technology, efficiency, and convenience. Personally, it's crystal clear to me that in our modern workforce ecosystem, mobile communication tools aren't just nice to have, they're a necessity. I mean, they're really essential for reaching and supporting job seekers in real time, especially when uncertainty runs rampant and resources can be tight. So as the expression goes, modern problems require modern solutions, and Engage by Sell is absolutely bringing those to the table. As always, thanks for being part of our first ever Skill Up America Summit, and we will see you guys soon.
Perfect. Thank you, Barry.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.
Thanks, Barry.
Bye now.